Back again in the little shop of horrors. It is January 30th of 2023, and anyways, I've made some progress on these engine mounts, and I just thought I'd show you what I've done. I'm not going to make any of these long videos anymore because people don't seem to want to watch them, so I'll keep this one pretty short. Anyway, here's the plates you can see that I already made before. But they go down underneath. The engine is firmly mounted to this plate underneath, which I will trim off a bit after I remove all this stuff for painting and that sort of thing, or final fitting, as I guess you'd call it. Up front here, I wanted to mount the engine to the front part of the frame, like the Panther engine would have been. And I made up these three little plates. This one here, as you can see, that bolts onto the places where the starter would have mounted on the engine. But that's a 120 volt electric starter, so that's pretty useless on a motorcycle. So besides that, it's going to be kickstart. So, and I figure it's going to be pretty easy to start this machine anyway. I also decided it wouldn't be such a bad idea, since these little tabs were sticking out here past the engine plate, why not mount the square tubing on here and bolt that as well to that. That will make sure that engine's really solidly mounted in place, and it's not going to swing back and forth inside the frame there and cause any problems with rattling or anything like that. These things here, I just wanted to mention, you got three little pieces of metal, 1, 2, and 3 in here, this H-shaped piece. Doesn't look like much, but from the time I cut them out until the time I got them ready to weld together, it took 3 hours. So none of this stuff happens in a matter of moments or anything. It takes time to do this sort of thing. Anyway, that's what I've got so far there. There's one more thing I wanted to show you. Where the foot mat... Geez, I got a mouthful of powder there or something. Anyway, where the foot pegs mount under the clutch and under the transmission on the other side, they mount onto these sort of star-shaped fittings here on the frame. So I had to cut some star-shaped lugs here to go in place, and that way these won't be able to turn when they're all bolted up nice and tight. And the whole idea of that is the actual foot peg will come off of here, come forward a bit, and then swoop up around the clutch case. So the same idea on the other side. It's got that same little affair on the other side, and that just bolts up onto there. Anyway, I'm just going to stick the nut back on there to hold that in place so it doesn't fall off and get lost. And anyway, there's still a lot to do to these. What I wanted to do right about here was put a clamp to go on the outside of that frame. And what I'll do in between these engine plates, I plan on placing a piece of this 1-inch square tubing. By the way, I have to give a shout out to Nolan and his dad Sean for dropping that metal off to me. I can often make use of bits and pieces of metal stock, and anyway, there it is. So thanks very much for that, guys. You were a part of this build by donating that piece of metal. Anyway, there's plenty left. I'm going to put a piece in between the plate here, and then I'll make up some clamps for over the outside of that frame, just to make that whole affair just that much sturdier. I don't really need to do it. Maybe I'm getting carried away with this, but I want to do it because if this does happen to shake back and forth in the frame, and I can tell you right now, it's not going to. But if it did, it would prevent the plate here from banging up against that side rail. Anyway, like I said, that's not going to move, but just in case, I think I will do that anyway. Anyway, for now, there's still a lot more things I need to do here. Like I need to put a tensioning affair on here to keep this transmission in place so the primary chain doesn't get too loose or too tight, because if you just leave it in there without having an adjuster on it, the vibration and the torsion or the tension from that chain will eventually cause that transmission to move forward, loosen the chain all off, and that won't be a happy thing. But anyway, there is one more thing I've got coming here for this. I wish I had it here now. I expect it to show up in a couple of days. But I've got a real nice 26 millimeter motorcycle carburetor coming for this. It's a PWK brand, and I've used these before on other British bikes, and they really work great. So since that's a nice big 1-inch hole here, or 26 millimeter, I figured a 26 millimeter ought to work better as a carburetor than the little tiny one that comes with the engine. Anyway, we'll see what happens when that arrives. Meanwhile, I'm going to keep on working on these mounts and that. Like I plan on drilling a hole two holes right through these plates and through that piece of square stock. And then I'll put spacers in between the stock and this plate here. That way when I bolt this all together, it'll be really solid. And, well, it's coming together. Every little bit is that much closer, you know, for being ready for a test drive. Anyway, thanks for watching. You can like and subscribe if you feel like it. Bye-bye.